The DNC sets a rule set in starting our race. They basically say, look, for the most part, you need donor requirements and you need polling requirements. So both of these two things, these two factors, were going to be the determining factor of who got on the debate stage. Now, whether this is good or bad, it's the rule set to which they were running with. And with that particular rule set, that's what they went by. The DNC was very clear that we're trying to be fair, we're trying to be impartial, and so we're going to give you this up front. Now, as the contest goes on, the rule set gets a little bit more strict. So you might have had 1% before, then it may go to 3%, then it may go to 10%. But essentially, they're making it, the criteria, the bar, higher and higher the further in the process they went. Now, the DNC had somewhat of a problem, or what it considered a problem, with too many candidates. They had 20 candidates. They didn't want it to look like a clown car, so they started putting in rule sets to make it more strict and more difficult for people to get on the debate stage. You can stay in the race, but from the standpoint of meeting the criteria to get on the debate stage, many candidates were not able to do it. So you had Cory Booker, you had Kamala Harris. But let's take Kamala Harris out. Her campaign flamed out. Cory Booker, Andrew Yang, Tulsi Gabbard, Castro. None of these people were able to get on the debate stage, including Mike Gravelle, who met both requirements. But the DNC excluded him anyway, saying that there was some kind of lotto pick and the other guy won it on tiebreaker votes. My point is very basic. The DNC set a rule in place that was very strict in regards to who can get in and who can get out of debates. It got stricter as it went on. It didn't let the contest go with its own natural flow and momentum and people falling out when they lose support because of polling and stuff like that. No. They took it upon themselves to create a process that could exclude various people from the race. Supposedly, this process was etched in stone and couldn't be changed. So when people were making pleas to get into the race, meaning we need you to change requirements to let additional people be into the race, the DNC, our hands are tied. We can't do anything. This is a fair race. We're not going to change it for anybody. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. We're not going to get accused of cheating this time. Then stories like this come up. Rare. New York Times. Biden push for labor is burdened by Obama-era baggage. Meaning the labor supporters that Joe Biden is talking about effectively are going to Sanders, union membership, and those type of things. You have stories like this. Sanders surges, Biden plateaus in latest NBCW Wall Street Journal poll. Now, that was the first time Sanders had taken the lead. In fact, there was a swath of polls where it was the first time Sanders was taking the lead, and the amount that he was jumping in those polls was utterly astonishing. And Biden, his trend was modestly down or plateauing. You keep seeing those, and you ask the question, we need to stop Sanders. Tom Perez was told by Bill Clinton, don't let Sanders take the party. Hillary Clinton hates his guts, will sip wine while he chokes on his own blood, hates his guts. The woman who's a professional bitter ender, who can't necessarily accept the fact that she lost, so she spews vitriol on everybody else. My point is, with that directive, and with all of these people in the Democratic Party establishment freaking out, the modus operandi, we need to stop Sanders. Bloomberg jumps into the race. The billionaire figures Joe Biden can't carry the burden. He's seeing the polls, he's seeing the popularity, he's seeing the media attention going to this notion that, oh my God, Sanders could win. And he says, all right, fine, I'll hold back tonight. In 4 seats, he'll jump into the race, meaning in the first few states, he's not there. He's waiting to see whether or not how Joe Biden performs. But in his head, I will be the opponent for Sanders when Joe Biden flames out. All of this to stop Sanders. Problem. Bloomberg will never meet the individual donor requirements because Bloomberg is effectively paying for himself. Meaning there is no grassroots support for Bloomberg. Nobody was screaming for Bloomberg. When you ask the public, are you happy with the contestants? The overwhelming majority say, yes, Bloomberg jumped into this race to protect the interests of him and his class. That's the only reason Bloomberg is in this race. Typically, that class pays the Democratic Party or their candidates to behave a particular way and not go but so far. The Democratic Party is supposed to sell that. Whatever that distance is that they're allowed to go, they're supposed to sell it to the audience as if it's their point of view, their plan, and essentially be the face of that billionaire class. Well, now that it seems that the Democratic Party can't be trusted, that billionaire class has gotten more vocal, crying on television. And now you have another one that's literally jumping into the race with the expressed and complete interest in stopping Sanders. But again, problem. You're not in the debates. For all intents and purposes, you are running a campaign that is parallel to everybody else. Meaning Joe Biden is still in the race. Joe Biden isn't going anywhere. Joe Biden is in the debates. Again, Joe Biden is not going anywhere. But Bloomberg is effectively just putting out media pieces of videos, campaign videos, without having to actually answer for his record and the things that he has done while he was mayor of New York. I hope you understand what I mean and why that's important. Meaning he gets to make a point without having anybody to retort to that point, and especially not dealing with that on the debate stage itself. So you have this weird parallel track with him not even looking like he's in the race. By the same token, you have these other guys who are doing the debates. Bloomberg would never meet the requirements for individual donations. Or would he? Tom Perez, the DNC, changes the rule. And in changing that rule, they've allowed Bloomberg to potentially get into the debates. Keep in mind, again, this rule has excluded all of these other Democrats who wanted to be into the race and would have otherwise been in the race were it not for that particular rule. And within a moment, when all of these people were essentially expunged from being in the debates, snap the fingers, Bloomberg, rule changed, and the Bloomberg, who has expressed interest in stopping Sanders, gets in the debates. And just to make a point, this is Bloomberg's guy. Listen to what he's saying. The only reason Bloomberg is in this race is to stop Sanders.
The more, and I see this very much now happening already among my activist Democratic friends, the more people are getting scared about a Bernie Sanders candidacy for two reasons. First, because they think he'll lose. And second, they think if he wins, he'll implement the kinds of policies that I outlined a few minutes ago, which are so far away from the center of the Democratic Party. So there's a lot of activity around trying to, quote, stop Bernie, although it isn't called by that just yet. And that's and Mike Bloomberg could well play a role in that as an alternative to Bernie Sanders. But as you also point out, for that to happen, Biden has to, in effect, not do as well as people expect. Whether it's second, third, or fourth, Biden has to weaken in the course of these first four early.
So when I say Bloomberg is in this race with the express interest to stop the Sanders, it's not my opinion. They tell you if you ask him. He's not hiding the ball in this case. Here's the catch. Mike Gravelle could have gotten on that campaign stage. There were a lot of people, a lot of lefties that really wanted Mike Gravelle to be on that stage and to be a part of those debates. He is a fiery debater, and it would have been great to see him, A, push Sanders to the left or give Sanders space on the left, especially on issues of foreign policy and anti-war, and take to task some of the other people that were on that stage, like Biden, who he's gotten into a kerfuffle with before on the debate stage. But the DNC ruled, we can't do that. We can't make any exceptions for any of the candidates. We're trying to be fair and impartial. Except 6 months later, Bloomberg gets into the race. Mike Gravelle has released the audio of the conversation that he had with the DNC person telling him that we will not ever, etched in granite, etched in stone, encased in platinum, change it for anybody, for any of the candidates. We're being fair and impartial. Listen to the conversation that Gravelle's team had.
We wanted to give everybody as many chances as we could, and I think that it's a very generous set of rules. But I think the broader issue is that we can't change them later on for the benefit of any candidate. That's kind of our rule number one for us here, and it doesn't matter who it is. We obviously, as Mary Beth attends to, we didn't change them for for Governor Bullock. And we can't change them for anybody. That is contrary to what I think people expect out of the DNC and what we've committed to in terms of running a transparent and a neutral primary.
Now, what you're seeing in the background is Bloomberg and the amount of money he's donated to the DNC. As you can see, that number is $300,000. $325,000 effectively to the DNC. The DNC tells Gravelle, we will not change this process for anybody under no circumstances. Etched in stone, encased in gold, encased in platinum, with a patina of unobtainium. Yeah, let's go with that. Never changed. In the background, what you're seeing, $325,000 that Bloomberg deposited into the Democratic Party. The Republican billionaire essentially is buying his way into a Democratic primary that the Democratic Party is accepting that donation. Thank you very much, Bloomberg. This guy has $1 billion. He probably can help us in our debt problem and losing magnificently to Trump. Because from this standpoint, right now, Trump is beating the stuffing out of fundraising from the standpoint of the Democratic Party. They are broke. And because they are broke and because Republicans are raising so much money, there may be some thought that says, yes, this guy's a Republican, but he can fund his own campaign against whatever Trump comes up with. He could spend $1 billion if he wants to spend $1 billion in the presidential race. Maybe we give him a chance. $325,000. And when they told Mike Gravelle we would never change this rule, 6 months later, after a $325,000 donation from Bloomberg, the rule gets changed. Is that fair or not? Crystal Ball wanted Bloomberg in the debates. And believe it or not, I also want him in the debates. I do not want the rules to be changed to allow him in the debates. Those are very different things. This rule change is a fail, especially when the entire stated purpose of Bloomberg being in this race is to go after Sanders. He's just a hatchet man. I don't even know if he's trying to win it. He's just a hatchet man. And that hatchet man has $1 billion that is trying to effectively buy this race, has bought his way into this race, with the DNC changing a rule that they say under no circumstances will they ever change to allow him into the race. And again, his express interest in the race is to stop Sanders. DNC, classy as ever, transparent and impartial. Let's hear him again. This is them lying to Mike Gravelle that they would never change this rule, the rule that kept Mike Gravelle out of the contest. And again, what you're seeing in the background is Bloomberg, contributor, giving the DNC $325,000 before they change this particular rule.
We wanted to give everybody as many chances as we could, and I think that it's a very generous set of rules. But I think the broader issue is that we can't change them later on for the benefit of any candidate. That's kind of our rule number one for us here, and it doesn't matter who it is. We obviously, as Mary Beth attests to, we didn't change them for Senator or for Governor Bullock, and we can't change them for anybody. That is contrary to what I think people expect out of the DNC and what we've committed to in terms of running a transparent and a neutral primary.
6 months later, Bloomberg is in the race. 6 months later. They lied to Mike Gravelle. And not just lied to Mike Gravelle, they are now allowing a billionaire to buy his way into the Democratic Party and effectively swarm the airwaves with all of his billions, or the amount of billions that he wants to drop into this primary. Mike Bloomberg could drop $1 billion into this primary. This is what we allow in this particular country. I don't have an issue with Bloomberg running. Fair enough, Bloomberg can run. But should he be able to literally use $1 billion, $2 billion that he himself is bringing into the process? This has nothing to do with public support. This has everything to do with him just being a billionaire. And because he's a billionaire, he believes, well, I'm a billionaire, I can do this. And goes in to try to take out the guy with actual support. I mean, I find this to be astonishing. And the fact that the DNC acquiesces to this is that much more troubling. Because you have all of these people, Marianne Williamson, Mike Gravelle, who should have been on that debate stage, Tulsi Gabbard, who should have been on that debate stage, who actually has support. But you still kept off that stage with these type of rules. And the idea that you removed this rule for Bloomberg is mind-blowing, especially when Bloomberg's stated interest is very clear. That guy on the phone said that they're not changing the rule because they want to remain fair and transparent. So the fact that they did change that rule, does that mean that they're not being fair and transparent? You tell me. You tell me. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks all.